What's cracking, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to a game day edition of Locked on Kraken. Let's get this road win over Vancouver. We're going to talk about what we need to do in order to get that done. Speaking of the Canucks, Jeff Baker of the Seattle Times says it's time to take the gloves off. What does that mean, and how does it relate to the Seattle Kraken and possibly making the playoffs? And finally, I'm joining Game Over Vancouver after tonight's game, so I gotta go take a nap after this. I will be joining Samantha Chung and friend of Locked on Kraken, Chanel Keenan, for the live post-game show. We'll talk more about that and all things Seattle Kraken hockey on this episode, this game day episode of Locked on Kraken.
You are Locked on Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey to the hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked on Kraken. I am your host, Erica L. Ayala. Thank you for joining me today. And today's episode of Locked on Kraken is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. And where we're going to start today. Ooh, it's very frosty here where I am in Oklahoma. They actually closed the gym downstairs because of road conditions, which I'm sure is laughable to any of you who are in the Pacific Northwest, and certainly is to me as a New Yorker. But you know what? Let's keep everyone safe. Anyway, enough weather jokes. Winter wonderlands for some is what they dream of. Not me, but I know how to dress. I've got like a million layers on. I've got my, I call this a scully cap. Some call it a toboggan, I believe, or a toque. I don't know. A toboggan is a sled where I come from. Anyway, enough of that. We have a game day. The Seattle Kraken are taking on the Vancouver Canucks. This is the first of three back-to-back division rivals. And I want them all, but especially this one. Listen, the last time we played the Vancouver Canucks, we lost 5-4 in that game. They hadn't won a game yet. We gave them their first win of the season, and they did so in such a punk way by throwing their weight around. I don't know if that's what they're going to do again. I know that the Seattle Kraken, our penalty kill isn't great. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I don't want us to get punked. And I think there are a few things that we have to focus on if we don't want that to be the case. So I'm recording today's episode after morning skate. And we're going to hear from Dave Hakstol in just a moment. But these are some of the things that Jared McCann said. He said as Vancouver... The Vancouver beat writers were asking, what makes the Seattle Kraken team different? Like, what's going on? And he said the forechecking. The forechecking is huge for this team. We've talked about it so much on this podcast. We're a good team when we're focused on the forecheck. We're not a great team when we're not focused on the forecheck. And that was one of the frustrations about the first Vancouver loss. We were coming relatively, I guess we were the first, 6 to 10 games into the season, and we had a great forecheck in the preseason, and then it disappeared for a while. So Jared McCann saying that he wants to see the Seattle Kraken get back to forechecking. He wants to see the team doing the little things. We've talked a lot about that. We heard Ryan Donato this week talk about keeping things simple. That's how they were able to get the win against St. Louis in particular. There's a lot of history. We'll talk about that in the 3 essentials that's up on the Seattle Kraken website. But a lot of people asking in the Vancouver media core, what is it about this team where they haven't been able to figure them out? To which Jared McCann says, quote, "They've had our number. We're looking to change that." He also had a weird, it was an interesting question, but I thought it was a weird answer. I'll try to post it up on YouTube later, but he was asked, like, how are fans responding now that there's one season under our belts? And he said something like, I think they understand the game and the rules better. Okay. I don't know what that means. Let me know what you think about that response. I'll put it up on YouTube. So check the player playlists, Jared McCann, and I'll link it in the show notes. But just like a weird little response here. But yeah, Vancouver beat us up at home. We were not a great home team, excuse me. It's gotten better since, as a matter of fact. Let's take a look. This is what the breakdown looks like. So we're talking about the Seattle Kraken. We are 9-6-2 at home and 9-4-1 away. So you can see that the home record is improving for us. Now at home, here's a good stat that it works in our favor. The Canucks are 5-9-1 at home, and they are 8-6-2 on the road. Overall, though, they are 13-15, and 3 with 29 points on the season. We have 10 more points overall than them at 18, 10, and 3. In the last 10 games, we're both 5-5-0. Great equalizer. Talked about the penalty kill. Neither one particularly great, both at a sub 70% clip. The power play, they have an advantage. They're at a 25.9% clip where we're at 21.4. Yowza. Special teams, they're not so special right now. We need some special assistance on special teams. Anyway, let's take you over to what Dave Hakstol had to say today at Morning Skate.
Well, Dave, the last game before the holiday break, what's your message to the team just in terms of being ready from the drop of the puck tonight?
Well, it's first of 3 divisional games in a row. Obviously tonight is the one that we're focused on. These games are extremely important. So, this is not just, not really worried about it being the last game before the break. I mean, it's a really important 2 points against a divisional opponent. So we'll be ready to go.
Besides the divisional opponent, I mean, you've never beaten the Canucks before. I mean, how much does that play into anything?
Nothing we're going to – I mean, it's not something we're going to talk – I mean, I don't think the group that's in our dressing room right now really cares about that. A lot of them had no part in it last year. These guys beat us at home a few weeks ago. So they took 2 points out of possible divisional points. So we know that, they're going to be at their best. So we've got to be ready to beat them at their best.
What are you guys doing better on a whole from a year ago? I mean, you had a really solid season. We don't get to watch you every night, but in a nutshell, why the Kraken?
Lots of little pieces of our game are better. We have more of an ability to create and generate offense, and that has, that's empowered other parts of our game. We're working hard without the puck. We're doing, there's a lot of little areas of our game that are pretty good. A lot of little areas of our game that have to get a lot better.
So that was, again, Dave Hakstol talking today at Morning Skate. He also did say that it would be Jonesy in net, Martin Jones in net. I already told you how I feel about that. I like Martin Jones in net, so we'll see what happens. Jonesy did get the loss the last time these two teams played. As a matter of fact, again, that was a 5-4 loss. Save percentage was a 7.78. So, not great for Jonesy. And we'll see how it goes today. We're a different team, though. You heard Dave Hakstol talking a little bit about it. We're a different team. We're a more disciplined team. That's kind of what Jared McCann was alluding to. Coming up next, though, on Locked on Kraken, I want to talk about some 3 essentials. This is coming from Bob Condor, and it's over on NHL.com/Kraken. So it's on the Seattle Kraken website. And then we'll get into some some storylines coming from beat writers and national writers about the Seattle Kraken. I know I went on a rant yesterday. I don't think I'll go on such a big rant, but I definitely have some thoughts Jeff Baker will talk about, and then also Greg Wyshynski. Man, people just love taking shots at our mascot. That's coming up on Locked on Kraken. This episode of Locked on Kraken is brought to you by Bet Online. As I mentioned earlier, betonline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional or amateur league out there. We're talking, they just had a World Cup coverage. I actually have a World Cup sweater under here because I'm freezing cold inside, and I don't like turning up the heat too much because then it's too hot, but then it's dry and it's like a whole thing. Anyway, World Cup, College Bowl, football, and of course, the National Hockey League. And if you love sports podcasts, which of course you do because you're listening to Locked on Kraken, you can also find sports podcasts on betonline.net. It is the fastest and easiest way to get all of your sports betting information. You can use it on your laptop, your desktop, your mobile device, whatever you got. And don't forget, BetOnline is where the game starts. Thank you, as always, for making Locked on Kraken a part of your daily routine. But Locked on Kraken, we are far from the only show in the Locked on Sports Network. I came from Locked on Women's Basketball before becoming the host of this show, but you can also watch and listen to Locked on Sports Today. Just like everything on the Locked on Network, you can find Locked on Sports Today on YouTube as a video podcast, or you can listen on your favorite audio platform, including on Amazon, where we actually have ad-free. We have ad-free shows on Amazon. So make sure that after you listen to Locked on Kraken, you head over to Locked on Sports Today. Today, the Seattle Kraken, it's a game day, baby. You see, I've got my jersey on. Also, I told you I'm wearing a crew neck. It is a holiday sweater. It's got the nice red, kind of like the red in our unis. So I like this combo. You'll see me wearing this later today. Again, I will be on the the Game Over Vancouver post-game show. That's a live show as part of the Steve Dangle Podcast Network. Samantha, Chanel, and I are going to be recapping tonight's game. Vancouver is not a great team. We talked about the standings in the Pacific Division earlier this week. So not only are we going up a team that we are a better team standings-wise, we are playing better, but they mushed us around. We've got something to prove. I don't want to go out like no punks, man. You probably remember, I was pissed. I'll put it in the show notes if you want to go back and listen or watch. I was pissed after that Vancouver loss. I was so pissed off. And now I'm going on Game Over Vancouver. Like, for my sake, let's not lose today. But also, not being self-absorbed for like a half a second, we shouldn't lose to this team. We're a better team. And if we want to prove that we really have exercised some of that Kraken crap that I talked about earlier in the season, we have to win games like this. Which brings me to an article. We're going to talk about a few articles here. I want to take you to an article by Jeff Baker. It's entitled, hold on, let me get it for you. Kraken get back to basics after slump, just in time for key stretch. So everyone talking about the Seattle Kraken knows that this is an integral time. And I like what Jeff is getting at here. He talks about being from Canada and growing up in Montreal. And he says, quote, "My hockey friends and I refer to this as the point in a season where the gloves come off," which he explains in ordinary hockey parlance refers to what players do when preparing to fight, right? You take the gloves off. They drop the gloves and they get down and dirty, even rolling around on the ice, grappling combatants oblivious to how it might appear. It's uncouth, inglorious, and a good metaphor for a Kraken team that's been dirtied a bit and needs to drop any pretense about what it is and get back to grinding out wins to leave that slump behind. Yes, Jeff. Yes to that, Jeff. I love this. I absolutely love this. We need to drop the gloves. I refer to it as the Wakanda moment. If you haven't seen Wakanda Forever, there's a reason why I might be a little emotional as I say this. I will not spoil it for you, but if you have watched Wakanda Forever, then maybe you know. Anyway, Angela Bassett plays, I don't know the characters' names. Anyway, she's Mama Black Panther, right? She's the mom, the matriarch, the queen. And in the first Black Panther movie, she would say, show them who you are. You know, that was like her thing. I would say that how many times did I say that last season? Show them who you are. It's just like we're talking the same thing. He's talking dropping the gloves. I'm talking Angela Bassett. It's the same thing. We have to show definitely the Vancouver Canucks, definitely the Pacific Division, but also we have to put the league on notice, show the league who we are, get rid of the pomp and circumstance, do not be so proper. And so, we're a blue collar team. That's fine. We're a kind, nice team. Everyone, they put out that video like everyone's on the nice list for the Seattle Kraken, right? Maybe not Carson Soucy. I hope we've gotten over that, Carson. Let's be smart. Let's not take silly penalties. Jamie Alexiak, you got suspended. Not great. So, okay, maybe those two are not on the nice list, but everybody else, we're good. We're a group of good guys. Try to play the game the right way. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want us getting overly aggressive for no reason and playing outside of our game. But we have to get down and dirty within the parameters of the sport. I want us to be a combination of like Ryan Donato, Brandon Tanev, and Yanni Gourde. Maybe with a little bit of Alexiak and Soucy, just in case anyone gets out of line. And then you bring up, you like uppercut with the skill of McCann and Beniers. And you balance it with Schwartz, Eberle, and Schultz. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's how I want this team to play smart, to play skilled, to play smart. Smart. I think I said it twice because I mean it. Smart. We have to play smart, but not be afraid to get dirty, not be afraid, as Dave Hakstol said, I think we talked about it last week, we have to win games like this. Tight 1-goal games, and we lost it because we let Vancouver, the last time we played Vancouver, we lost in part because we let Vancouver push us around. Drop the gloves. Jeff Baker goes on to say, or he quotes, Jared McCann. We kind of got away from shooting the puck a little bit. We tried to make the extra play, backdoor tap in, that kind of thing. Sometimes you just got to shoot the puck. Well, wouldn't Eddie Olczyk be happy to hear that or to read that? I agree. I don't want us getting too fancy. We're not a fancy team right now. We have a champagne diet on a sparkling apple juice budget or skill set. We're not a fancy team right now, and that's okay. We don't have to be fancy. But what we do have to do is not try to be what we're not, and is to not lose focus of the little things that make us successful. So I'm here for dropping the gloves because let me tell you, Vancouver's ready to drop the gloves in the literal sense. And as Jeff Baker says later in his article, as boxer Mike Tyson once famously said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, we got punched in the mouth and we lost our way last time we played Vancouver. And Vancouver hasn't been the only team, maybe the only team that has literally pushed us around physically, but we've been surprised. We've been caught on the back foot finish him style a few times, metaphorically. I want us to settle in. So that takes me to the 3 essentials. It's a big storyline. Everyone's talking about it. That if we win tonight, it would be a hat trick, as Bob Condor put it, of first evers. First ever win against Winnipeg on Sunday. First ever win against St. Louis on Tuesday. First ever win against Vancouver, ? On Thursday. I'd like to see it. Let's do it. Then this is another one. When good D generates good offense. Striatic and I have been in the comments on YouTube talking about defense. We have played better team defense. I still don't think we have the best D core by far. Defender for a defender, that don't impress me much, Shania Twain. But we're good when we play team defense. And so clogging up the neutral zone has been something we talked a lot about in the last handful of games. We really have to be careful with Quinn Hughes, and then making sure we don't leave Jonesy out to dry, like on that second goal against St. Louis, to where he either has to stay kind of tight in the crease or he comes out to try and take away the angle and gets beat backdoor. Talked about that the other day, so I don't want to go into it too much. Making the most of ice time. We also talked about that yesterday. Our fourth liners, plus Ryan Donato, because baby's not a fourth liner anymore. Thank you very much. I mean, we're switching up the lines, which I love. We're getting more even contribution. Better how, though. I was trying to stay away from it, but I got so worked up about that. Better how, though. I mean, in fairness, in the article, he goes on to list some of those things. I just didn't like that question. I didn't like that. I didn't like how it was phrased. I didn't like it. Anyway, we are a better team. We're a more complete team, and we're going to need our fourth liners to step up. I don't have the projected lines as I'm recording this right now, but I'm sure we'll get into it on social media. And if not, on the post game, again, joining the Steve Dangle Podcast Network, particularly Game Over Vancouver with Samantha and Chanel Keenan, who's been a guest on the show before. So coming up next, let's talk a little bit more about World Juniors. We got to see Shane Wright in action, a little bit of yin and yang, good and bad, this and that in the game, but it's pre-tournament. So what does it mean? And then we'll go to an ESPN article that, Greg, I don't know why you had to come for us. Like, no one called for you. Don't come for us as a Seattle Kraken fan base. That's coming up on this episode of Locked on Kraken. Before this episode of Locked on Kraken, I have an important message to share. Did you know that driving high is considered driving under the influence? That's right. Driving under the influence of marijuana is against the law in every state, even states where marijuana is legal. That means driving high can get you a DUI. And if you think law enforcement officers can't tell when you're driving high, you're wrong. Your friends can tell, your coworkers can tell, even your parents can tell. Yeah, everyone can tell. So what makes you think that law enforcement officers won't know when you're driving high? Driving under the influence of marijuana can slow your response time and change how you perceive time and speed. So even if you think you're fine to drive when you're high, you're not. You're not. Because the bottom line is, if you feel different, you drive different. And driving high is driving under the influence. So remember, drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA. Thank you, as always, for making Locked on Kraken a part of your daily routine. And if you do indulge in a state like Seattle, or Seattle's not a state, in a state like Washington or even Oklahoma, just be safe, make plans, keep everyone safe. All right. Anyway, and after you listen to this, make sure that you listen to Locked on Sports Today. I already told you about it earlier, but just to hammer the point home, it gives you a really nice wrap up of everything that's happening, not just in hockey, which is where you would go to Locked On NHL and our game-to-game action, not just MLB or NFL or college, everything. I wish they did more hockey, but, that's a story for another day. But that's why I'm Locked On Kraken. Okay, so World Juniors, Canada got a pretty convincing win over Slovakia. We saw that Shane Wright did get an assist in that game, but also just like a weird little play that happened. There was, though, this segment, I guess it was at the second intermission, where Shane Wright was talking about, his time with the Seattle Kraken and the fact that he didn't get to be at World Juniors when they won the championship last year because of COVID and then getting ready for the NHL and stuff like that. Of course, the whole situation with, him not necessarily breaking out with Seattle the way he wanted came up. But what I didn't know, what I know now, is that the gold medal game is set and scheduled for his birthday. So, of course, he's hoping that Canada reaches the gold medal round there. They had their last tune-up yesterday. A weird play. So he gets an assist, but the first Slovak goal, and I think it ended 5-1. After a while, I was like, hey, I think Canada's got this one. But he's shooting the puck towards his goalie, and it hits his goaltender's skates and pops in. So it was tough because the cameras were like zooming in on him and like people patting him on the helmet and stuff like that. In the grand scheme of things, it's not what you want. Of course, it's not. It's never what you want. But it didn't cost the team anything. It was a 6-1 pre-tournament win over Slovakia. So it didn't cost them anything, but, still kind of tough. Shane looked okay. I thought he moved better and he looked kind of a little bit more precise and alert in the Coachella Valley games that I saw him play in. That being said, this is still pre-tournament. It's pre-tournament. We've already seen some guys, get slashed in the face, have to go to a full shield or cage again. I honestly don't know why anyone would opt to play in a visor, but, I guess I'm whatever like that. The point is that Monday, Boxing Day in Canada, everything gets started. The Canadian team will take on Team Czechia, and the United States is taking on Latvia. We've got Austria versus Sweden, Switzerland, and Finland. That's all happening on Monday. The next day, you've got Slovakia versus Finland. That should be a good one. Sweden, Germany, Latvia, Switzerland, and Czechia versus Austria. Then Wednesday is when Canada takes on Germany, and the United States will be taking on Slovakia, Finland, and Latvia, and the Czech team, Czechia, and Sweden. So keep it here. We'll talk a little bit about that, trying to set up something with Hadi Kalikesh so we can talk prospects. Obviously, we at Locked On Kraken are focused on Hockey Canada, but there are a lot more prospects in the pool. So, Logan Cooley playing for the United States, got some things. There's some folks that we might want to keep up with. Anyway, before we close out this episode of Locked On Kraken, Greg Wyshynski has an article here. Let's see. What is this called? Because I scrolled down to our part. It's called Gifts for All 32 NHL Teams, Players, Trades, Wins, and Losses. And the best this guy could come up with for us. And I quote, Buoy is a try-hard, sub-gritty plushie. Your team is called the Kraken. Oh, well, thank you, sir. I might have missed that had you not pointed it out. Playing in a city known for a market with airborne fish. And you don't create a mascot with a nautical appearance? I don't care that legions of young fans are pulling Buoy toys off the merch shop shelves. Congrats, you sold a troll doll. Talk to me when you turn an I didn't know how to say this word. Talk to me when you turn your anthropomorphic tentacle into a cuddly mascot and a bestseller. Why are grown people so unhinged by Buoy? Yeah, we get it. We're called the Kraken. Riddle me this. What in the high heaven does Gritty have anything to do with Philadelphia? What the F is a Gritty? What is Gritty other than an ugly, creepy, and I don't mean in like a doll moving a mascot, like legitimately have concerns for safety, creepy, like what? Why are you so unhinged? Also, you make absolutely no mention of the historical ties and the community ties and the Fremont Troll. Not to mention that, yeah, Seattle's known for fish. It's surrounded by water. It's also known for music and beautiful skylines and mountains and forests. What? Why are grown men so unhinged by Buoy? Relax. Take a breath. Enjoy the holidays. It's gonna be okay. And if you don't like Buoy, I don't care. I don't care. Just like Gritty lovers don't care that I don't like Gritty. I don't even care that I don't like Gritty. I don't think about Gritty. What is wrong with you? And honestly, it's neither I'm sorry, let me scroll because I want to make sure I don't misspeak. That would be horrible. Gifts for all 32 NHL teams. What kind of gift is this? No one asked for your unsolicited advice on our mascot. Not a gift. Return to sender. Gift receipt invoked. Don't care. You didn't talk about players. You didn't talk about trades. You didn't talk about wins. You didn't talk about losses. And of all the things I would like to be gifted, like a rover, as in a offensive-minded defender, a Vezina candidate goalie, like present, a good PK. Like there's so many ways that we could have gone with this. Greg, you know I'll lay you more than my luggage. We had a great chat at Frozen 4 last year. I appreciated. You said you liked my Olympic coverage at the top of the year, but this is just, you don't need it. You don't need it. You know, I'm doing that thing from, what was it, Zoolander? Your energy, man. Your energy is bad energy. I'm saging that away, just like Martin Jones probably sages the net before he is just so cool, calm, and collected in the game. And we're going to win tonight. So I don't care what you think about Buoy. I really don't. If that's the worst you can say about our team that was so abysmal last year that everyone was having freaking fits after you said we would be the best thing since sliced bread, the collective you. Yeah. All right, cool. Slow day at the office. Watch what we do tonight. Watch what we do in our last 2 games in December. And come see about us come April. All right, that's our show. Hold fast, stay true. Don't forget, tonight after the game, post-game, I'm going to be with the Steve Dangle Podcast Network on Game Over Vancouver. I think it's a very apropos title for what's going to happen. So this is what I need from you, Kraken Nation, Squid Squad. We got to hold fast. We got to stay true. And we got to say, let's go Kraken loud and proud, because I do not want to be the one wearing the dunce cap or the paper bag over my head tonight. No, thank you. Let's go get this win against Vancouver. And I will see you, if not later on tonight, tomorrow. Peace.